All right, so we're going to be going over Reddit today. Mary has also added some slides to this and will be speaking partially to give an experience of just coming into it. I've been using this website for a couple years now, and I find it useful. Let's put it that way. There are upsides and downsides to Reddit, which we will go over. And we'll start with just kind of briefly explaining what Reddit is. So let's go to presenter view and continue. Reddit kind of bills itself as the front page of the internet, is its slogan. Mary, would you kind of agree with that?
I was surprised, but yes, I would actually agree with that. I did not expect it to be as diverse and as representative as it is.
And I've added some other things on here. It is the sixth most popular site in the USA as of 2019, so it's massive. And essentially, what it is a huge collection of forums. So, a forum is where somebody can post a topic and people will reply to it. So, people will post on a subreddit. So, if you're interested in cooking, there is a cooking subreddit, and you would post on the cooking subreddit to ask for advice or to show off what you just made, and then people can answer questions and ask questions. So Reddit really is whatever you want it to be. There are over 1 million communities. So if you're looking for a group of people, you'll probably be able to find it on Reddit. And if you don't, if you can't find it, you can create a community. You can create a subreddit. And we'll be going over what the website looks like and how it functions in just a second. I just have a little bit of information on this slide. So the first part, old.reddit.com, is how I use the website. And then afterwards, it will /r/ and then something. So that something would be cooking, or that something would be fashion, or that something would be news. And that is kind of how Reddit breaks up itself. So if you look, I will actually make this bigger. 175 seems nice. If you can read this up at the top, old.reddit.com r and ask Reddit. So this is a popular subreddit where people ask questions and other people will answer. So if you're looking for example, today, um, if you were looking for a TV show that apparently is really good, what TV show was perfect from season 1 until the end? It has 11,000.5 people who have upvoted it. And basically, if you like something, or if you agree with something, or if you think it furthers the discussion, you will hit up and it will make those that people deem more interesting, it will make them rise to the top. If you can see, kind of, it will go up in order. So this will be the highest or the most viewed topic currently, and it will go down from there. So more popular things get more traction. You can see right here, it says 10,000 comments. So these are the amount of people who have commented on it. And there are some other things which we don't really need to worry about at the moment. But if I'm interested in this, what TV show was perfect from season 1 until the end, I can click on it and then I can see the discussion. So Batman the Animated Series apparently was very good, and it has 3,000 points, which means it was a lot of over 3,000 people liked it, so it went to the top. Faulty Towers, I've never actually heard of this. It has almost 6,000 points. So you can kind of use this as a way to gauge a new TV show. So I may actually check this out because it seems like people really like it. Now, if we go to the main main page, and I'll get out of old. This is what Reddit looks like. As you notice, it says that, I'll make it bigger again. It says I don't have any communities, but I can, on the top left, click on home, and I can just go to popular. So these are popular subreddits, and these will be popular discussions. So these are the things that are trending today. And these are the most popular posts today. Now, these may not be relatable to you. So for example, Dota 2 is a video game. I don't really care about it. So what you do is you find subreddits that you like, you subscribe to them, and then whenever you go to home, this is where those will show up. So if I really like history, and we'll go over some subreddits for history, they'll all show up here, which will be convenient. If you look at the top right, so I realize this is kind of like a quick blast of information, but we'll go back over it more slowly in a little bit. So if I look on the top right, whenever I go to Reddit, I see Eat Book. This is my Reddit username that I've created. And if I click on it, I can view my profile, user settings, and log out. So just to show you what it looks like when you're not logged in, because you do not need to create an account to look at Reddit. You do need to create an account if you want to comment or ask questions. So you may ask, how do I sign up? You go to reddit.com. I go to sign up, top right-hand corner, click. I'll enter an email address, and then it'll just take me to the next page, which will ask me for a username and a password, and then that's how you get set up with that. Mary, did you sign up with Reddit at all, or are you
I did.
just
I
viewing?
started just by looking at it, just exploring it, and realized that you can read everything, but you can't join groups, you can't vote, you can't do a lot of other things with it. So I did create an account, and they don't ask for a lot of personal information, which is nice.
Yeah, and you can always lie on the personal information they ask for.
So Tim, before we go on, I'm curious, you prefer old Reddit. Is that just because it's you can see more on your page, or
Yeah, so this is Reddit. So I'm going to refer to this as new Reddit.
Mhm.
Reddit realized that Instagram was getting fairly popular. And if you've ever used Instagram, you can kind of see how this is similar. There's a big picture, and then you can click on it and view it. Big picture, small
Mhm.
picture, big picture. So if I go to old Reddit, it's less inviting. It doesn't have those big pictures.
Mhm.
Um, I prefer this because I can see a lot more information really quickly. So I can see, even when zoomed in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can see 9 discussions. If I go back to the normal Reddit, I can see 1 at a time. This is better for phones, though. It's more inviting.
Okay.
So that is kind of the main page of Reddit. I'm going to log in again. Eat book. Check. And we'll go over how to subscribe to some things in a little bit. but I just wanted to give you kind of a picture of what the website looked like so you knew what we were talking about. And there is a browser extension, which we can go over later. So throughout this presentation, I do have a lot of links, and feel free to click on them. I promise they're safe, but as always, don't trust me. You can kind of hover over them and make sure that they're real. This is Mary's slide, so I'll let her take it.
Okay. So I had heard of Reddit, um, and I wasn't really sure about it. I was a little concerned about it, but I was really sort of fascinated. I spent some time on it without creating an account. Um, and then when I did create an account, I found out that they actually suggested communities for me based on what I had clicked on, which was pretty interesting. But I was excited to know that there are moderators, and Reddit has very distinct rules. And there can be rules for actual individual subreddits. So they they are very firm about good behavior and reticent and what you can and cannot do, and trying to make it as appropriate as possible and as vibrant as possible. So that was sort of interesting to me and reassuring. Um, and Tim, can you go back to the slide for me? Unless you have something to say about this. Okay. And Reddit has its own its own language, which is going to take me a while to a lot of acronyms. So, and there's a link for that so that you can sort of see what the shorthand is. There are a lot of different kinds of communities. It's not all political. There are librarians on Reddit. There are book communities, craft communities. And one thing I have to say, I will call out my own naivete. Kept looking at um, these things, these videos, and they were saying, "Oh, Karen doesn't like this," or "Kevin doesn't like this," and I'm going, "Wow, Karen who and Kevin who?" Well, Tim, can you speak to who Karen and Kevin are?
So basically, without being offensive, Karen is here. I'll Google it. Karen is someone who looks like that. It's become sort of a meme, and it's for someone who asks for the manager, who gets upset really easily, all that fun stuff. So it's kind of an obnoxious person, and Karen is the female of that. Kevin is a male, and if you can kind of think of Homer Simpson, kind of the dumb guy, that is Kevin.
Okay. And they post a lot of videos on Reddit. That's what I found out. They have very strong opinions.
Very strong opinions.
And basically, I guess Reddit is actually pretty interesting. I wasn't sure what to expect. It's fairly easy to maneuver, and I think I will be coming back to it. So, and the next slide is just my giving you sort of the anatomy of a post, just so you can sort of understand it. Um, the name of the subreddit is the r/ and whatever is in bold. Um, the person who posted it is right next to it. And if you like that subreddit, you can join it. But one of the things that I really, really was very thrilled about is that the URL of the original material is posted. So you can confirm that you're not clicking on something that you really don't want to click on. And then the popularity is to the left. and that's the voting up and down, which you have to be a member to be able to take advantage of. Um, and let's see, I think this is actually a pretty funny, we don't have to play it, but it's linked. So when you get the slides, you can click on the image and see a fan who did wrong. So there we go. That's all I have to say about that. Oh, there we go. And he suddenly realizes he shouldn't have done that. And look at his girlfriend right next to him. She's not happy.
So this is a fairly famous video, which I enjoy greatly. So there is a community for everything. Now, the next slide we're going to talk about some warnings about Reddit. You may have heard about Reddit in the news in a not so positive light, and all of that press is deserved. So Reddit can be as good or as bad as you want it to be. There are overall moderators of the entire site, but whoever created the subreddit, so for example, the news subreddit, that subreddit will have an additional team of moderators. And those are the day-to-day moderators. So if they aren't on top of their game, some not so positive posts can make it to the front page, and you can kind of get surprised occasionally. But on the whole, the major subreddits are very well policed, and you shouldn't kind of see anything you don't want to see on them. That being said, Reddit is known for astroturfing. It's known for not safe for work content, and it's known for community bias. So, as always, this is a platform for people to post opinions and statements, and people who post them do not have to be correct. And as you've probably heard of in the news, if someone is behind a computer screen and they have no name associated with them, where it's anonymous, people can kind of get nasty and say things they would never say in real life. So just be aware of that. This is the internet. This is the 6th most popular site in the United States. It is very heavily trafficked, and there will be bad people on it. Astroturfing. So astroturfing is where you see a lot of information and people seem to agree with it. So one example I have, which people may or may not be offended by, I hope not, is vaccines. Basically, people will push a lot of articles out that say vaccines are extremely harmful and you should never get them. And in Reddit, you can create a community based around that. So if anyone ever stumbles upon one of those posts, they will only see positive statements regarding not using vaccines. There are ways to kind of rationally think about those kind of posts, and a lot of the links you will be able to follow and see, oh, this news article isn't from any place I recognize. Maybe I should look at a different source of information for that. NSFW is not safe for work. If we're on Reddit, and I'm not going to go search one out, but you see how this is atheism? Underneath, there will be a little red box that says NSFW, and that means that that post, that topic, or that picture is not safe for work. So if you kind of don't want to see that kind of content or don't want to see that kind of discussion, don't click on those links. The last thing is community bias. Just like with Facebook, you know how with Facebook you will kind of only be friends with people who you like and agree with. And if someone is really, really what you consider far out in left field, you'll probably unfriend them just so you don't have to see their posts. Reddit is like that, but extreme. So if you are for example, if you are a huge Bernie Sanders fan and all of all you look at is the Bernie Sanders subreddit for your news source, you'll get a completely different picture about, just a couple months ago about the presidential election than if you had looked on a general news page. So you can kind of get a hive mind with that, where everyone is giving you the exact same opinion, and the only people who are part of that group share the same opinion. So you just think everyone has that opinion. Another thing to think about is everyone on Reddit has some form of internet access. Reddit demographically is towards the younger end of the spectrum. So all of that bias based on having internet, being slightly younger than average, will be embodied in the site. So we see a question for will you discuss Reddit Premium? I will. Reddit Premium is where you can pay money and you get some additional features. The first feature, first of all, I don't pay for it, but the first feature is you gain access to an exclusive subreddit that only people who have premium can access. I don't know what it's like because I don't pay for premium. And the other thing is whenever someone mentions you, so you can basically tag someone just like you do on Facebook or Twitter. You can at someone. Whenever someone does that and you have Reddit Premium, you'll be notified so you can respond to it. Reddit does have messages. So if someone sends you a direct message, you can get it and you can reply to it, and you can also see what post they sent you a message from, so you can reply to that post. But Reddit Premium kind of gives you some not essential features. If you want to support Reddit, you can pay for it. I honestly don't even know how much it costs. So Premium is $6 a month. I don't really see a reason to buy Premium unless you just want to support Reddit in general. Are there any other questions before we go and click on specific subreddits?
I'm gonna,
Or if Mary wants to comment on anything.
no, yeah, sorry, I was just gonna try to unmute everyone. Does anybody, I'm going to unmute you all if you have any comments or questions before we move on. Let's see.
To find a topic, you just type it in the search box.
Yeah, so you can search on here. I generally prefer just doing a Google search. So if I am looking for, let's see, most reliable car, if I'm looking to buy a new car, I just want to know something that's reliable. I'll do best reliable car. Reliable car Reddit. So mechanics of Reddit, what is the most reliable car you've seen? Click. I can see this is 2 years ago. I can search for something that's newer, but maybe I'm not looking to buy a brand new car. So this comment was deleted, unfortunately. Let's scroll down. Any Buick with the 3800, that's a type of engine. Honda dealership, he says when Cash for Clunkers started, this old man traded in a 90s Accord. Apparently that's impressive. So yeah, so basically how I do it is I'll just search Google, but you can search up here. So if I'm looking for like a bag to buy, computer, or let's go with computer case. Click. So this is Reddit search isn't very good.
Mhm.
That's what I was
Um,
going to ask you, because
yeah,
I'd heard Google is better for Reddit to
yeah,
search.
the top result is I built a computer case out of Lego. While that wasn't what I was searching for, that definitely sounds interesting. So I'm gonna look at it. It looks pretty awesome. Yeah, so I would recommend using Google search and just add Reddit to the search, and it will add in all the Reddit pages.
Mm.
And that's a great way to find a new community.
Tim, have you ever used unpopular opinions, the subreddit unpopular opinion?
I have.
What do you think of it?
Well,
Speaking of trying to get out of the bubble.
yeah. So unpopular opinions is fantastic. I love it. Basically, it's so this is one of those subreddits that you kind of have to have like a little trigger warning because some people will post truly unpopular opinions and you may or may not enjoy that kind of discussion. So, if you believe politics is as simple as left and right, then you're an idiot. Okay, so I'll click on that. Someone will put their opinion and then people will comment on it. Another subreddit that's very similar is Change My Mind or Change My View. So basically, this is where someone will posit a question. So, for example, I mean, I apologize if anyone gets offended by any of these links, but change my view, euthanasia should be legal because we deserve the dignity of a peaceful death. And then people will comment, basically trying to change their view. So you'll see a different side of your argument if you post here.
Oh, that's cool.
Sometimes it is amazing for getting out of your bubble because someone will make a really good argument and you realize that you never thought about it in that way. So I'll do a little rant because, you know, I have the ability to mute everyone else. So one of my views that was recently changed, and I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I didn't understand, and I apologize if you're a Scientologist, but I didn't understand why all of these high-powered people were part of what I thought of as a cult. And Scientology, you know, I didn't understand it. Like, why are these people Scientologists? And then someone made an argument that people are Scientologists because healthcare, like mental health in this country, is kind of stigmatized. And as part of the onboarding process, they do the interview where they find your, I'm going to mispronounce this, but your thetan levels. And that interview process and the continued interaction is essentially like going to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. So these people who face a stigma if they go into a mental health clinic, they are basically getting that resource as a part of Scientology. So it kind of makes them feel better. They talk about their problems and they feel better by being part of this group. So that's a reason why people like Scientology. And I can understand that.
It is
But
interesting.
it's a fascinating website. And
Okay,
it's whatever you want it to be.
for, sorry to interrupt. I'm going to mute everyone and then unmute you, Tim. Okay. There you go.
Okay. Mary, do you have anything you want to say before we get into looking at specific communities?
Well, there was I read an article in nature.org about the use of non-political communities. They were talking about Facebook, but also Reddit, uh, being used to politicize and to insert opinions. So I think, as Tim was saying, just have your sensitivity when you come across a community. If something feels a little off, recognize it and just be aware of it, because this is the largest. It is the sixth largest site, and so it's very popular for people who are trying to push agendas.
And one other thing to note is whenever you go on a subreddit, so we'll go on one right now. Let's go with pictures. That's a fairly safe one. If we go on the right-hand side, we can see information about the subreddit. So you'll see rules, and then if you scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, you can see the moderators. So these are the moderators of the pictures subreddit. This means if someone on here doesn't agree with a picture, they can remove it. So what you should take away from this is if you're on, for example, a Bernie Sanders subreddit and someone posts something that could put Trump in a positive light, it'll get removed. So there will be no discussion about it. So any subreddit you're a part of or that you're on, just be aware that moderators can completely change the discussion by just removing posts.
Tim, is there, are you aware of when a post is removed, or can they just remove it and it just disappears?
They can remove it and it can just disappear. Sometimes it will show as like deleted. So this entire box would just say deleted,
All right.
but the moderators are able to just remove dissenting opinions or stuff they don't agree with. That is fairly rare because anything that is posted, you're able to see it using the Reddit Wayback Machine. We're not going to get into that, but you can see anything that's ever been posted, even if it was deleted. So if a moderator deletes something that should have not been deleted, the subreddit will kind of revolt and you'll see moderators getting essentially fired. So how are moderators selected? That's a good question. Basically, there will be a head moderator. Generally, it's the person at the top, and they will select the moderators. Now, in a subreddit like the history or historians subreddit, you'll also need to provide proof that you essentially have a PhD in a related field, and you'll need to have been active on the subreddit for a while and have kind of a good standing with the community, and then you'll get put into a moderator position. Different subreddits have different ways of selecting, but you generally have to be a part of the community and you have to be furthering the discussion, and then you can be a moderator.
Great.
All right, so here we have a couple slides with just links on them, and I'll just go over one link in each. So news, there are a lot of news subreddits, and I'm just going to go with, actually, I'll click on two. I'll go with my absolute favorite, Watching Congress. You may ask, why the hell is Watching Congress my favorite one? That's because you always forget. These are the things that no one ever comments on in the news. These are kind of the decisions that you'll hear about later, like, oh, Congress passed that. Well, why didn't a news article, come out about it? So basically, anytime there's an amendment, it will be posted here. So if you just watched this, 3 days ago, they were amending Social Security Act to expand the availability of medical nutrition therapy services under Medicare program. And I can click on that and then I can see the GovTrack US summary. And if someone comments, it'll go right there. So I just kind of find it fascinating because this is news that you won't normally see, and it's direct from Congress. The other one I want to show is uplifting news. Generally, negative news is far more popular, so it gets reported on more because clicks equals money. So uplifting news is kind of against that. It's positive news articles. So first same-sex weddings held in Costa Rica 4 hours ago. COVID-19 death rate is gradually declining. People love it here. Drive-in theaters cleared to reopen. So it's just kind of positive things. So if you're having a bad day and you want some news, you can go here and see some positive news. And some of them aren't so positive, like USA had fewer than 20,000 new cases of COVID per day. That still seems like bad news, but at least it's going down. There are a lot of interesting subreddits, and this is like a huge, could have been a category with 200 subreddits. So I will click on writing prompts. This is a popular one. And explain like I'm 5. So have you ever had a question and someone explained the answer to you? And you're like, I still don't understand what the answer is. That is what this website is for. This subreddit is for. And I definitely feel like sometimes I could be better at explaining things, but this really helps. So you can ask a question and get an answer. So why does the air conditioner cold feel so different from normal cold? Mary, have you ever asked yourself that question? I don't think I've thought about it.
You know, all the time, but don't have an answer. So could you click on it for me?
Yeah. So the answer is air conditioners also remove humidity from the air. That dry, crisp air from the air conditioner feels very different than the more humid cold air outside. Huh.
All right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It
I like it.
does make sense.
And I understood it. Where would I enter the search words listed on this slide? I don't fully understand the question. So if I was searching for like explain like I'm 5 on Reddit, I would go create a new tab, explain like I'm 5 Reddit, and just search for explain like I'm 5 Reddit. And then it'll be in the first results. So click. But all of the links we have on here are clickable. So you can just click and go to that subreddit. All right, so it turns out that I really like this subreddit. So I will join. So now if I go to my page, I will see this subreddit pop up. The other thing to note is under leave, since I click join, there are 18 million people who have subscribed to this. So this is extremely popular. And right now, there are almost 14,000 people on Reddit using this. So this is a massive one. So basically, if you find a community and it says like 20 readers and 1 online, you're probably not going to get a great answer from it or a good discussion because there aren't that many people. This subreddit has a lot of people. All right, so I'll close this. So writing prompts. I don't know if you've ever kind of had writer's block, but this subreddit really helps with that. And if you want to write, but you want to write like a little short story, but you don't know what to write about, you can just scroll through here and there are some pretty awesome ideas. There is also a couple authors who started on this subreddit. They answered a prompt and people liked the story so much that they continued it. They made it into a book, got published, now they're famous. So, and these are kind of off the wall ideas. So, emotions are sold in glass jars. Happiness is something only the wealthy can afford. The poor are only left with the feelings of sadness and grief. It all changed when someone starts selling anger. So, I'll click on this. Now, this is a fairly new one, so only 3 hours old, so there won't be very many responses yet, but you'll see people will show little short stories and you can read them. And honestly, I like reading the short stories. They're fun, and it's also really interesting to see someone's take on the short story
Mhm.
and then someone else's take on the short story.
Tim, can you connect with the person who's written something directly?
You can. You can hit, so if I really like this short story,
Mhm.
I can click on reply down here and then type
Oh,
my
okay.
reply. Hey, I really like that. Hit
Okay.
save and it would post.
Great.
And you can also hit save, and basically that will allow you to find posts you have saved later. So if I really like this short story, I can hit save. If I really like this short story and think that this guy or girl is someone I'd want to kind of read more of, I can just click on their name. So Matt IG123, click.
Oh, you can direct message.
I can direct message on them. I can hit this to follow. So whenever they post something, I would see it. And I can also start a chat with them, which is very similar to message. Or I can just click on their name and I can see a history of everything they've ever done.
That's cool.
All right, so explain like I'm 5 and writing prompts. All right, feel good. If anyone ever needs the warm and fuzzies. So we already went over the warm and fuzzy news subreddit, but we will go with something that I find hilarious. Nope, not going to do children falling over. Let's go with eye bleach.
My son told me about eye bleach. He said that's where I should go when I'm just overwhelmed.
Yes. And let's go with oddly satisfying or educational. All right, so eye bleach. These are just pictures. I'll do new Reddit for this. These are just pictures of happy things. So rats can be cute too. Okay, that's arguable. So tortoise hatchlings enjoying a snack. So this is just a picture of tortoises eating a flower, which is honestly kind of relaxing. So if you want to see like a fun, warm and fuzzy image, eye bleach. This cat is having a good day. It's a nice picture of a cat. And if I like it, I will once again go to the top and hit join. Sometimes you'll have a join button here. Sometimes you'll have a join button here on the right-hand side. So join.
Tim, it says, I see on the right-hand side, create post. Are you able to create a post even if you haven't joined a subreddit?
Yes, generally. There are some subreddits that you have to join before you can create a post. There are also some subreddits where you need a certain amount of posts that you have already created to
Okay.
be able to post something. So that's a great point. This is one way that Reddit kind of and subreddits try to stop trolls and fake news, because people who, you have to have an account for over a year and you have to have, 500 posts. in order to post something on the main news page. So that means I can't create an account today and post something on there. So
I see.
it
That
kind
makes
of
sense.
moderates itself a little bit that way. But if I go create post, click on that, I would find an image, upload it, make a title. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
And educational. So these are just kind of cute, generally animal facts. So I have no idea how to pronounce that. Mutejack is also called the barking deer due to its distinctive barking sound during the mating season. And that's what it looks like. I kind of want to hear what it sounds like. Normally someone would have linked something. There we go. So I want to hear what it sounds like. So I went down and kind of was looking for someone to post a link. So I went through a few YouTube videos to find the best audio of these deer, and I will now subject you to listening to what the barking deer sounds like. That sounds terrifying. But anyway, we learned something and it was kind of cute. So, educational. Historical. This is something I really like. So, primarily because I'm a huge fan of propaganda posters. So there are a lot of historical subreddits. We'll go with Ask Historians and propaganda posters. So Ask Historians, these are basically, there's also Ask a Lawyer. So you can ask for, lawyer advice. Can I sue this person? Please, if you have a lawyer question, talk to a real lawyer, but you can always ask Reddit. So this subreddit, people who respond to it are generally historians. It'll say like verified historian, and it'll say, this person has a doctorate in medieval armor or something. So they'll be a great resource for that. But in the film A Knight's Tale, on 2 occasions, Edward, the Black Prince, reveals his identity to the surprise and shock of crowds who know him immediately to be the Prince of Wales. How identifiable were kings and queens? Would your everyday peasant be able to recognize their monarch in a crowd? That is a great question, I think. And they have not had a good answer yet. Ask Historians is very strict on having correct information. So these people probably had incorrect information. So I'll have to come back later and see the big answer to that. But the good news is they take away incorrect information. How did George Washington's precedent of 2 4-year terms become so strictly adopted? Yeah, good questions, good answers. Propaganda posters. I just like propaganda posters. I find them very fascinating. So Kill That Eagle, 1914. Click. So here was a propaganda poster from 1914.
Wow.
So we have Russia. That's awesome. Oh, because they're doing nothing. Love it. Doing nothing. Nothing. Armies, business as usual. So Britain's getting it done is essentially the motto here. Anyway, I find that fascinating. So
That's
I really
great.
like this. So where do I sign up? Propaganda posters. If you click on propaganda posters, it will then go back to the main subreddit, and I will hit join. So I am now a part of that. All right, useful. So whenever I'm buying stuff, because in case anyone doesn't know, I like buying what I assume are quality items. I like searching Buy It for Life first. So basically people will post items or brands that just don't die. So this person is asking for nesting mixing bowls, measuring spoons, and other kitchen items. So they'll get an answer of people basically saying, buy this brand. Anyway, I find it kind of fun, kind of useful, but let's go with you should know. So you should know you should never feel guilty or wrong about taking your full lunch break free from work and away from your desk. Okay, sure. Now, I don't really care about what any of these posts, but I want to see what the top post of all time is. So right now, in the top, I'm looking at hot. So these are things that are a mixture of new, they have a lot of votes, and a lot of people are interacting with it. So that's why you can kind of sometimes see a post with 34,000 people commenting or hitting up versus 8,000, why this one is number one. Because this one is newer, so 5 hours ago versus 16 hours ago. So it is what Reddit considers hot. If I want to see the top post, I can click on top, past 24 hours. I want the past year. So I want the top post on this from the past year. So the top post here is there is a YouTuber called Dad, How Do I? That explains everyday things that might need a father figure to help you with. His dad walked out on him when he was 12. He makes maintenance videos for people with no dad.
Wow.
I think I need eye bleach after that. But
Very
I mean, that
sad.
sounds really positive.
Yeah.
So it seems like this guy kind of does really simple tutorials for things people wouldn't necessarily think others wouldn't know. So that's pretty impressive, actually.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So you'll find a lot of stuff like that on this website. Weird. Yeah. So in case you're wondering, Reddit can be extremely weird. Mary, do you wanna pick one of these?
Well, you know which one I need to pick.
All right,
I need to
besides
see that
Tim,
Tim. Um, unstirred paint is sort of fascinating.
we'll also go over Tim.
Okay.
So Tim is a subreddit where they just talk about famous Tims, like Tim Cook or Tim Tebow or Tim the Toolman Taylor. And the fun fact with Tim is they have an ongoing war with Tom. I'm not going to explain it because I don't really understand it, but they'll post things that are negative about Tom, and it's kind of
Mm.
like apparently a fun little inside joke. But I'm a
Uh,
Tim, so I'm going to join.
I like the number 3. I'm a Tim, but my middle name is Tom. Help.
And people will give very good advice. It's okay as long as you are a proud Tim. You are unstoppable. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird, but also kind of fun. So unstirred paint, we'll go to new Reddit. And all right, this is paint that hasn't been stirred. So if you are familiar with buying paint, you can ask for a specific shade and they can mix it in store. And generally they'll stir it. But these ones either weren't stirred enough or weren't stirred at all. And this can of paint now looks like tomato soup.
Wow. And there are 113,000 members on this that post or watch this
Yes, 113,000 members.
that are interested in unstirred paint. That's fascinating.
Let's go with the top. So hot, so I'm going to move to top. Today, I'm going to go this year. So this is apparently she tried to stir paint without the lid on, and that's what happens. Wow, okay. I like that one.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. So unstirred paint. So I will warn you, you can spend a lot of time on this site. All right, Mary, do you see the cat?
Oh, yes, yes. It
Yeah,
finally popped up. That's
I like that
cool.
one. Yeah, the nose, eyes, ears.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Even the paw.
I'm gonna go over to Beltate's pretty soon. I need to
All right,
look
yeah, I
at some
like this
paint.
one. All right, but anyway, that's unstirred paint. Kind of weird. The other one I want to show you is birds with arms, just because it's a thing. People just Photoshop um, arms on birds. Yeah, I don't know why, but it's weird. So I just wanted to show you. All right, and inside jokes. So Reddit has a lot of inside jokes. If you want a laugh, or actually, I find pretty much all of these funny. If you want to laugh, I highly suggest, even if you don't kind of want to use Reddit a lot, to kind of read these because it's fascinating. I'll briefly go over them without clicking on them so I don't ruin it for anyone. Everyone is a bot. Someone asks the question, it seems like everyone else on Reddit is a bot, and it's kind of funny. Super smart snail. It is a writing prompt where you are given like $1 billion, but there's also a super intelligent snail that, or you're given $1 billion and you can't die, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a super smart snail that if it touches you, you die, and it wants to touch you. How do you survive? What is a potato? Someone tries to make a joke and pretends when he's meeting his girlfriend's parents for the first time that he has never heard of a potato and never had a potato. France is bacon. Someone thought Francis Bacon was a saying called France is bacon.
I love it.
It's funnier than it sounds. Kevin, this is the originator of what it means to be a Kevin. Dendrologic, that's trees. It has a funny name though. I won't spoil it. And I will spoil this one, superb owl. So when you read superb owl, Mary, what else uses those words or those letters?
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. So if you go to Reddit/Super Bowl, it isn't about football, it's about owls. I just find that funny.
Probably more interesting than the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so it's just owl information. And apparently this is how they get clean.
Wow.
All right, I realize I've talked a lot. Mary, uh, so from what I've said, I fully realize that I'm coming from a place of, I think Reddit is normal.
Mhm.
So I may not understand different difficulties with using it that you've been able to experience the past couple of days. Is there anything that you want to talk about that, or any
Well,
questions you have?
I just I would encourage. I'm going to unmute people as we or ask you guys all to unmute yourselves so we can have a conversation. But I just found that exploring it, I was surprised at the variety and sort of a lot of the things that I didn't expect to find. They do their best to try to keep it reasonable, but there's just so much. I guess the fire hose is probably the most challenging piece of it because you
Hmm.
really could just go down all sorts of rabbit holes. But does anybody have any questions?
And one thing I just wanted to show real quick.
Mhm.
On the top left, you can see my subreddits. These are the ones I've subscribed to today. And if I go to edit subscriptions, I can see everything, other things to join as well. It'll give you recommendations based on subreddits that you've subscribed to. So it thinks, based on liking these, that I would like to join Ask Reddit, Reddit Pictures, home, politics, and then I can immediately click on them and see what they're about. And now if I go home, which is the initial page, I'll actually have results because these are showing my subreddits. And if I want to see what's popular on the top, I'll go hit popular, and now I'm just seeing a variety of subreddits. If I hit all, this will include every single subreddit, even ones that are not safe for work.
Mhm.
So Tim, have you ever developed friendships through Reddit, through sort of communicating with people?
Yeah, it's really, really weird. But so, for example, I use a program called Lightworks, which is a very advanced video editing software. And there's a subreddit for it. And people will post questions and I will answer them. So people in that subreddit know who I am, like know that I answer these questions, and they'll specifically ask me for advice and stuff. So the more you post on something, the more people will start recognizing your name, and you can develop friendships. So another thing to do is you can go to, so Reddit. So New Hampshire won't really have a good example of this, but on for larger cities, you can go to like Los Angeles. So Los Angeles will have a specific subreddit, and people can ask like, hey, I just moved here. What's a good bar? I'd like to meet some friends. I'm, 32 years old, male, want to hang out. And you can find friends that way. But Live Free or Die. So this would be New Hampshire's subreddit. So these are people who live in New Hampshire or talk about New Hampshire things. So if you want to hear about New Hampshire news or just funny New Hampshire stuff, you can subscribe to this. And you can post things specific to New Hampshire. So yeah, you can make friends if you like cooking. You can ask people for advice about cooking and then eventually be like, oh, hey, you live in Boston. That's weird, and meet up.
That's cool. There's a question on chat about, do notifications clutter your email inbox or wait patiently for you to sign into Reddit?
It is an option. By default, it does not send you any information to your email address. So it'll wait patiently, and you'll have a little red circle will pop up if you have a message, and a little red circle will pop up if you have a chat. And you can always hit this to create a post. But yeah, so you'll just see a little red circle, just like with an iPhone, and it will say like 10, and it will say like, so you have 10 messages, and then you can reply to them.
One last question. What is Get Coins? I see the Get Coins button.
Oh, okay. So if something is popular, you'll see this. So gold award. You can give someone essentially gold, and that will give them premium.
Oh, I see.
And you also, if you think a response is really good, you can then give someone gold. And that kind of will encourage that person to post, or basically as a way of saying, like, I really agree with your opinion. Thank you for posting that, or I found it really informative. Whenever you give someone gold, they will then be able to message you, but they don't know your username, and you can then message them back and explain why you gave them gold.
All right, thank you. So does anybody have any questions for Tim? I will be very interested. I'm hoping you're all going to explore Reddit, and I'll send you the links to the slideshow as well as the recording. And I would love it if you would send me what subreddits you find interesting. That would be great.
And of course, I have to join the librarians subreddit
Yes, yes,
and
you
the
do.
library subreddit.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Next week, Tim's going to talk about Wi-Fi and how we can improve it. So I will send out the links probably tomorrow or the next day. We've got some great programs set for you for June. So thank you for joining us.
And
Thanks,
as
Brett.
always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Mary. And I fully realize that Reddit is a huge, huge space, and there are a lot of different communities. I highly recommend you kind of play with it and then definitely get in contact if you have any more questions, because it's a remarkable tool.
Exactly. And just that reminds me, tomorrow tech drop in with Tim from 12 to 1, and the link is on the website under events. So thank you, Tim.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mary. Thank you, Tim.
You.
Thank you.
Bye.